So I made a post on my Facebook today about, telling my story. Yeah. And it got a lot of reaction because it was pretty dramatic. And it's, me telling my story about how, this woman has this obsession with me. And so much so that she convinced my husband, who's in a mental psychosis, to have a baby with her, you know, all because she wanted to get a taste of what my life was like. It's the most insane shit. And so I posted that, and it got a lot of responses. And I said that I'm ready to tell my story. Um, I've been through hell and back in these last 3 years. These past 3 years has been, oh man, intense. For lack of a better word, like, it's been intense. It's been dramatic. It's been painful. It's been dangerous. It's been healing. It's been transformative. So me today, just today, it hit me that I have to tell my story. And the only reason why I feel valid now in telling my story, because I've healed. I've healed. I went through a lot, and I can only tell my story from a space of from a healed space, because it takes away any agenda. It takes away trying to, bring someone else down. It takes away revenge. It takes away me just, spewing my anger out, which I felt valid a lot of times to do. But I knew that, whenever I felt like that, I had to be still. I had to let that feeling pass and not act on it. It takes a lot of self-work, to handle a lot of the shit that I dealt with these past 3 years, like the way that I've handled it. And I've been on that journey of self-work for so long. And that's why I'm able to have this conversation now about this girl and about this situation. And I'm ready to go in. So here we go. So this is a woman. Her name is Gina. Okay, she lives in this community. I live in Hawaii. It's a very small, tiny island. I feel like I've seen everybody on this island at least once. And so it's very, what you put out here, like, you have to move in love and integrity, because anything else you're putting out here is going to get exposed, and on an island like this, integrity goes a long way. You can't live here for a long time if you don't have integrity. I've been on this island for going on 15 years now, and I've learned that. I've seen it spit people out. Like, you come in here with your ego and your arrogance and your colonizing ways, and this island in a spiritual way will kick you out if you don't belong here. And I'm very conscious of that. And I move in love and integrity and in community, and I've always been like that. So anyway I am, that's how I'm going to be. So this island received me well, and I'm grateful. And in that, all this toxicity that this girl is on this island, I feel like it's time to be exposed. Somebody commented, Michelle Wesley commented on the post that I had put up in the introduction of this, and she said, privacy of our abusers, just give them more power, or something to that, to that effect. And that's what I've been. I've been keeping this to myself, and this cancer is just keep growing. And the reason why I haven't said anything, as I said before, I didn't feel healed enough to talk about it. And also, my husband at the time, in the mental psychosis that he was in, he was with her, right? This is somebody that's very close to me. This is somebody that I've spent the last 7 years of my life with. We have, 2 children together. And, this is where we are. And he's with this woman, and he's in a mental state that I knew about. I knew he was crazy. Nobody else did. Because it's easy to fool people when people don't really know you, because he was functioning barely, but he was still showing up as a human being, so people thought he was functioning. So but I knew, the day me and that man broke up, he went into a space. I saw him change right before my eyes, right? So Ronnie is not new to mental illness. He's had, history of mental illness before. So him being triggered, it wasn't something that was far-fetched. We dealt with all that stuff. At the time, I didn't know how severe any of that was, because once you've been in this insanity for a while, it becomes your reality. You don't realize it's insanity until you're not in it anymore, because you find functionality in it. You find ways to survive in it. You find peace in it sometimes, but once you're pulled out of that situation, you're like, oh shit, this was really toxic, So I knew in that moment when him and I broke. I mean, we were having some problems from before, and I saw the changes happening. But when we broke up that day, it was really dramatic. That's like a whole nother thing that I'm going to talk about, like, going into that, because I'm ready to tell my story. But this is about this girl, and I don't want to ramble and not get to the point of it. So he went into a space, and I recognized that he went into a space. So when everything started to fall apart, and he just turned into a monster who tortured me for a really long time. And I always knew something was going on. I always knew he wasn't in his right state of mind. But to be in a position where you're the only one who knows that, and you're the only one who believes that, and the person who's going through this is convincing enough, right, to where people think you might be the crazy one. So that's the situation that I was in. So when all these crazy things would happen, and people would see him out there, or like, because he alcohol, drugs, all of it, he was intense in all of it. And people would see him out there, and they would see him strung out. They would see him wilding out, and people would send me messages and screenshots of his Instagram and all of these things. And I just I couldn't really respond in the anger that people wanted me to respond in. I was hurt. The pain was like, what the fuck? But I was never angry, because I understood on some level that he wasn't operating from his right state of mind. Yeah? So I pulled in a lot of Eckhart Tolle to help me usher in compassion and hold space for this crazy man who's going through the things that he's going through. So this woman I met, I held space. I started a group with another girl on this island. We started a group that held space for Black women on Facebook. And then we'll meet in person and do things together and blah, blah, blah. And the group attracted a lot of the women on this island. And she was one of the girls that the group attracted. So she came into the group, and I interacted with everybody in the group. And there was an incident that happened, and I think she had a falling out with one of the girls in the group. And she posted about it. And of course, the conflict resolution person in me is always like, how can we find peace? So, I think I talked with her a little bit and commented on the post a little bit. And then she removed herself from the group. And then I sent her a message, just to check on her, to make sure she was cool, and hopefully like she wasn't offended by anything, and how I could support her. And that's how her and I became having a personal, back and forth conversation, and that. But my initial interaction or meeting of her was on some conflict shit, her having conflict with someone else. Now, I didn't know her from anywhere, and I didn't know the girl that she was having conflict with that well neither. So I couldn't discern in that what was going on. I just felt like two girls were having conflict. So I got involved, and I sent her a message, and I was like, come back on the group, because the group was really supportive of the women here, that needed family. And she was here with her daughter, single mom. She had a little baby. And she became a friend. And I took a liking to her. Because of her woundedness, right? I love the most difficult people there is to love, right? When the people that get thrown away are the people that my spirit attract to love, right? And for a long time, it wounded me in some ways, because I didn't have balance in that, But then I started to find my balance in it. And I thought, you know how people be like, oh, you got to be for yourself, girl. You got to leave these crazy people alone and da 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 da. It was valid. Those sentiments were valid when I didn't have balance on it, but I still continued to attract these kinds of people. So now I started to find my balance in it, and I started to see the importance of a space it is to hold for the people that nobody wants. And that's what I do. I hold space for people that everybody's afraid of. I hold space for the unloved, because I feel safety and balance and security and love within myself enough to know that those people can't burn me. All they can feel is whatever I'm giving, my love, and they can do what they can do, and I never take it personally because I know people are going through things, and that allows me to be authentic and show love and hold space until if it gets to a point where it's dangerous for me, I detach myself. I know how. So that's, I've taken that as like, I'm cool with that. I love the people who are hard to love. This girl is a girl that's hard to love. And it was very apparent, So I'm like, all right, here's another one of those in my life. I embraced it. I embraced her. I started to nurture her, show her love. She'll come over. I'll do her hair. Like I said, she had a baby. And if I get emotional at any point, it's me just being present in my feelings. I'm healed from all of these things, but the fact that it happened. So it's like me being present in it as I'm telling it. I'm feeling all the emotions all over again. Yeah, so just bear with me. And I'm going to try to do these videos in increments so they're not so long. But anyways, so yeah, I started to nurture this girl, do her hair, I babysit her daughter. She would take my kids sometimes and babysit them, building community, because that's what this whole thing was about, building community. And then I remember one night, it's so funny, my husband would tell this story to everybody in his telling people how compassionate I am and how loving I am. He would tell this story about me and this girl, right? So this is something that happened. It was like 1, 2 in the morning or something like that. Very, odd hours. And this girl called me and she was in a meltdown and she was just like, I just can't mom you right now. And, can you please come pick up my baby and give me some space? And I got up, got ready to go get that girl's baby, but because it was late, I was feeling like I complained a little bit. Even though I was still doing it, I complained a little bit, and he heard me complain, and he was like, well, why are you doing it if you don't want to do it? Well, I was like, well, I want to do it, but it is really odd and and I was like, but she's my friend and she needs someone right now, so I'm going to be that person for her. So he tells that story to people, be like, yo, she's so compassionate, like she da-da-da-da. So going back to like how him and this girl got together, this story is so deep. So anyways, so she calls me in the middle of the night. I go pick up her daughter 1, 2 in the morning sometime, in the morning, bring this little girl. She stayed with me, most of the day, give that girl some space. So we started building this community. She started coming over more. And then she had a breakup with her boyfriend. She was dating this guy and she had just broke up because she cheated on him, and he broke up with her, and there was all this pain there, and he was trying to see if they can work it out. And then she started to find comfort in talking to Ronnie about all of this thing. At least that's what the story was. So they had this close relationship. They started to form this close relationship, and with him being a mentor of some sort, or giving her advice. How? I don't know, because he giving advice. Okay. I need to find something to make my phone steady so it does not keep. But anyways, so he started to they became close. I'm not a jealous person. I don't get jealous at all. I don't take things personally. I leave benefit of a doubt. I don't assume nothing is happening, so I just, because I'm able to be friends with people, I've had close people, guy friends that talk to me, to confide me, and vice versa, and all of that. So I'm just like, okay, if there's a friendship there, there's a friendship there. I remember we all went to we had a camp out. It was a lot of the women from the group, and we all in this camp out, and she wasn't going to come because she was just like, oh, it's just going to be me and the baby, everybody's couple. And I was like, girl, come, I got you. So she came, stayed in my tent, everything. And then he ended up coming because he had a gig, he played music, had a gig. that night. He came late, and the next day, apparently there's all this, cuddling and him taking pictures of her on the beach, and all of this stuff is going on while we're all there camping. And some of the women came to me and was telling me about this, and they're like angry, and they're like, yo, this is bitch disrespectful and blah blah blah. And I was super like, just like, from somewhere in my mind, I was like, yo, like, I don't get jealous. First of all, like, I don't react to those kinds of things like that. If this man is finding love and peace and happiness there, okay, then I guess that's what's happening now. So, but in any case, I need to process and see what I'm gonna do. But I didn't respond in the anger that these women wanted me to respond in. And I don't know, they thought that I wasn't taking it seriously, but really, for me, I still didn't think there was something going on. So some time goes by, this relationship is, going and going. And then one day, this girl, Gina, she gets into an altercation with one of the women that's in the group, not in the group page, but on this woman's personal page. This is an older woman in the community, respected. I love her, I respect her, I honor her. She's put a lot of work out here, another black woman. And I come from Africa, right? I don't care if you're 2 years older than me. The custom is you respect your elder. And I don't even curse in front of my sister who's 2 years older than me, because I look at her as my elder and I respect her. So to see this little girl coming at this woman the way that she was coming at her on this here Al Gore's internet, it just shook everything inside of me, that somebody can be that vile to another person. First of all, to another person that right? And this is going on. I don't like injustice no matter what. Okay, I get in it. I would be a witness. I would stop bullies. Like, I fight for people. I put myself on the line for people, and I have put myself on the line for so many people who was never reciprocated. Man, I got stories to tell. Anyways, so this girl is going in on this woman, like, you old hag and blah, 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 like, just really vile shit. And I was like, yo, pause. So I sent her a message like, yo, like, this is not cool. Like, even if there's something there, can you do this in private? Can y'all have a conversation? So I just told her how I felt about what she was doing to this woman, and then just coming into this woman's defense a little bit. I came to her defense on the post, and then I reached out to her and was like, yo, what's going on? Cut it out. And then she responded with, why don't you ask your husband? He knows what's going on. And I was like, what? Like, what he got to do with this? So I asked him, what's this about? And then he comes and he tells me that they both had a conversation about this situation already, and he felt like the woman was in the wrong. It was something about fighting racism or something like that. So apparently this white man, and this woman, she's a Jamaican woman, they now have this superior outlook on race relation. And this older woman that she was fighting with, I guess, wasn't being black enough, and people in responding wasn't being black enough. So these two, their black expertise was above everybody else, So he was siding with Gina, my husband now, siding with Gina, and she was feeling validated by him. So that's what she meant by, why don't you ask your husband what's going on? So I was like, okay. So, and I was just like, what the fuck? Why are you even in this? To him. And I was like, get yourself out of this. Make it right. Whatever you told that girl to make her feel validated, please get back in here and tell her that this isn't none of your business or whatever, right? So and then I think it was like I'm already shook up over that. And the same day, I'm on the computer and on his Facebook, and these messages from between them two pops up, and I'm reading the messages, and I realize this has been a thing. They've had a thing. They got this. He's like, let me come over and lick your toes, and let me fix your sink. Let me come over and fix your sink, and you can pay me by me licking your toes, and all of this, like the verbiage and all this back and forth. And I'm reading this thing, and then it gets to a point where it's the most mean-spirited shit you would ever read. That they both, because she's a mean girl, and he was in his space, because we had some stuff going on too, me and him already, to where he felt valid to just be fucked up to me. So he so they're saying, and then all this mean shit. Everybody thinks she's special, but she's not special at all. She's not shit. Yada yada yada. And he's telling her, he told her, um, your daughter. I won't put her daughter name out here, but calls the daughter's name. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. And I read that, and my heart just broke. Like, what? What about what am I like? Like, and I'm just like, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening here now? And of course, I'm like, talk to him about this, and he breaks down, he's crying, he's apologizing. At this time, he's in his spiral of like mental illness, drinking a lot. He's telling me this is like late night alcohol shit. He gets, nothing has happened physically, blah, 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 all of these things. We were already healing through some stuff, but I'm even going to go through all of those things, because it's like, if I'm going to put stuff out here, I'm putting myself out here too, so I'm ready to like talk about all of this shit, because everybody plays a role, so. And I was like, all right, we can get past this, so we still continue to, get. So she disappeared out of the picture. I don't know what happened to her. It wasn't long after when him and I ended up, finally breaking up dramatically one day, and was just like, this is done today, you move out. And so he's moved out, and some time goes by. He's going in and out of the psychosis. He's torturing the shit out of me. Then there would be moments where he'll have a moment of clarity, then he start going to therapy, then he'll get back on his feet a little bit, then he'll come back and have relationships with the girls. And there was a point where he had spiraled so far down, I thought he had hit his rock bottom, and I think I reached out to him. I wrote him a song, and I reached out to him, and I was like, yo, reconnect yourself to reality, because you're just gone. And within that moment, he was, in the time I sent him that song, he was picking himself back up. He started going to therapy. And then he responded back like, I'm so sorry, I've been going to therapy. Can you please come so we can try to heal through some of these things? And then we started going to therapy. He would invite me into his therapy sessions, and I started to make room for him to have relationships with the girls. He would take them, and yada yada yada, and things started to progress. It was still a lot of heavy stuff there, but there was room, because I always said, I'm not talking to him until he gets help. Right? I'm not having a conversation. I'm not rationalizing shit with a crazy person. And everybody's like, you're keeping his children away from him, and you're doing this, but they didn't know what was going on. I knew, and I wasn't going to let people's stupid ass opinion about what they don't know allow me to do something because I'm feeling pressured, and then put myself and my children at harm. So I will cut off access when he started going through his bullshit, because I'm not trying to put my children through that. Because behind the curtains, y'all didn't know what I was dealing with. Y'all didn't know that he was pulling my child through, like pulling my baby out of a moving car. Y'all didn't know a lot, like, so I knew when I had to cut that relationship off, I would cut it off, right? So I didn't listen to people, because I knew I couldn't rationalize with a crazy person. So I said, I will have a conversation with you when you actually take your sickness seriously and you start to get help. So we started to have a conversation when he started going to this therapist and started to get help. Through the therapist, I started to get validation, because, like I said, this is going to be a whole nother story. The man's a narcissist. I was recovering as a narcissistic, abusive person. It ain't easy. So, but through therapy, I had a voice. I would say something, it would be heard from it would fall on a sane ear, which is this therapist. She was able to repeat it back to him in therapist terms, where he can understand it through his crazy brain, and there was progress being made, and then this is happening. He's picking up the girls, and then one day they spend a couple of days with him, and then he dropped them off. And one of my younger daughter, she's in a real funky mood. And I was like, what's wrong, baby? She was like, I'm just feeling really embarrassed. And I was like, what? Embarrassed for what? He was like, because Daddy was kissing Auntie Gina in front of me. And it just made me feel embarrassed. Everything inside of me just went like, what the fuck? She's back? Okay. In that moment, everything is falling apart inside of me because I knew what that energy was and is. I knew the toxic nature of what that is, and any part of that in my life being connected to a person who has all this hate towards me right now, but's trying to working through this stuff. I knew it wasn't good for me. Yeah. And then the emotions of being a woman who's still married to this man, and this woman who caused all this drama, now she's back in the past. So all of those emotions were coming back up, all right in that moment while I'm trying to console my then 5-year-old because she's feeling funky about this. And I held face and I consoled Weddy. And I said, I'm sorry, baby. I'm going to talk to him and see what happens. And I sent him a message and I said, I just realized that Gina is back in the picture. This is very heavy for me. And I don't know how to communicate this. And I don't know how to communicate my own feelings. Can you please make an appointment with a therapist so we can talk through this? We've never made that appointment with a therapist. And all hell has broken loose ever since then. The way this girl has shown up in my life and the damage that she has caused with him, his help. Man, I have to stop this video now. Stay tuned.